Everybody, I'd like to call the March 16th Planning Board to order. The time is 7:04. We have a public hearing tonight for Article 7, subsection 7.03, campground developments, and then we'll get into our regular meeting. I'd like to remind the board that this is a public hearing. The board just will take comments on this. And for members of the audience that are here, this is not in reference to any specific site in town. This is an ordinance that's so far out of date that the planning board is updating the ordinance. It is not in reference to any specific site or application. Okay, I'll open the public hearing up. If you don't mind just giving your name.
Sure, absolutely. Yep. My name is Sandra Gay. I'm an attorney at Woodman Edmonds, and I'm here tonight representing Dave and Mary Ellen Boza, who are the owners of the Little Ossipee Lake Campground. And we just have a couple of comments. I was here for the workshop and appreciated the board letting me address them at that time. One is just a request for a little clarification, and that's on the first page, the paragraph that starts right under the picture of the hammerhead, where it says campgrounds must provide a buffer strip at least 25 feet wide, planted with trees and shrubs. For clarification, we just want to make sure that's either planted or natural vegetation that's already there, so that, and that's really again, just so there's no confusion down the road on that. The one other item is something that I had talked a little bit about at the workshop, and that's the definition of recreational vehicle accessory enclosure. We had asked at that time that the board consider, rather than 8 feet, allowing that to be 10 feet in width, and there are a few reasons for that. One of the reasons is that right now at the campground, there are several of these already in place. They are 10 feet in width, and rather than make all of those non-conforming, by making the ordinance 8 feet, if it could be 10 feet, those would remain conforming. The platforms that are built for them are 10 feet. Some of them don't have the units on them yet, the accessory structures on them yet, so they're made to fit the 10-foot wide. And probably most importantly is something that Dave has mentioned to me, and that's that some of these campers relocate within the campground. So they might move from one place to another. They've already have these 10 feet enclosures, and it's going to be difficult to monitor if it's a new one coming in, for the code officer to monitor this, if it's a new one coming in, or it's being relocated from another site, and that could just get really confusing. It doesn't seem to be a great deal of difference between 8 feet and 10 feet. David also mentioned that if you have a family and you want to put a kitchen table and some chairs in there, 8 feet is a really tight fit, and that's why most people have been going with the 10 feet. So we just asked the board to consider that. Would appreciate them moving it forward with 10 feet rather than 8 feet. And those are really the only couple of comments that I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Dale Duncan, I'm from East Waterboro. I just have a couple of questions. I live right on the lake, and I'm on the lake a lot. And I've read the ordinance, and from what I understand, and maybe I misunderstand, is they want to cut down the size of the lots from 5,000 square feet to 1,250. Did I read that correctly?
I don't think so. I think that's camping and tenting, isn't it?
And it used to be 5,000, is that correct?
Yes. That is correct.
Yes.
Okay.
So consequently, you're going to be increasing the amount of units that you can have in there by approximately 75%? That's, basic math, that's what I'm looking at.
Well, I guess because it's a question, Mr. Chairman, I'll try to answer it, and I'm trying to be generic about it, but I suspect it's because you have seen a campground proposal in front of you, and the
Yes.
fact is that this proposal as drafted does not allow anything additional than what has been proposed in any application at this time. It does not.
I understand that, but the
I think
proposal wants to reduce the size to
No.
1,250?
I think what you'll find is that the proposal that was submitted in front of this board previously did not meet the previous standards that were outrageously crazy. and not anywhere near any other campground standards in the state. And that's what we've tried to do, is at least bring them in line, bring the standards in line with what other communities use for campground standards. The application, well, the paperwork that's been in front of us before would not see an increase in any units based on these standards proposed.
Okay.
This
So
says that,
we're not gonna reduce the size, but and allow a larger, additional structure on a smaller lot, is that,
am I reading this
that's what
wrong?
it sounds like to me.
What's that?
Well, it says it's 1,250 for each campsite, but the 5,000 applies to what's in the shoreline zone.
In the shoreline zone, yes.
So,
Okay, so you're not reducing the size of
Not in the
anything
believe
that's
so, no.
non-shoreline?
Not in shoreline, we
Okay.
cannot.
All right.
That's a state law.
All right, well, that's why I wanted to have that clarified.
Sure.
My other question that I also have is, it's not addressed in there, but I don't know whether it will be down the line, is how many moorings are permitted off the shore?
This
And how
ordinance-
many docks are?
This ordinance does not address that issue.
No.
This is a
Is that gonna be addressed in the future, or is there some kind of do we have
Tonight we're talking about the camping.
Yeah.
Just
Campground
campground
ordinance, so there's not,
ordinance.
Right.
it's not part of the campground ordinance.
but what I read out of the other ordinance is that each property owner is entitled to one mooring. And
That's
one-
under-
and
That's a
one
state
dock.
law.
That's a state
That's a
law.
state
Right.
law.
Right,
That is nothing we're addressing in this ordinance.
but I'm just trying, to get ahead of a few
Understood.
things that I've seen that I feel
Understood, but
are out of control.
but as the chairman has indicated, we're not reviewing the weight of any particular project tonight. This is an ordinance that's
Okay.
being drafted for any campground anywhere in town.
Right, I understand that, but I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, the only campground that I'm concerned about is the one that I know about.
Understood. When the time comes, we'll
And the one
certainly
that's
have a lot
and the
of,
one that's gonna be in my backyard. so-
when the time comes, I'm sure we'll have a lot
Right,
of deliberation
right,
on
I
that.
mean, we can be NIMBYism about it, but that
Understood.
was the question that I had, that's all.
Yep.
All right, very
Understood.
good, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name's Barbara Lamont, and although you're not talking about moorings or wharfs at this meeting, it says that on April 6th, there's a public hearing to address shoreline zoning ordinance and shoreline map. Is that going to include wharfs, decks, piers?
That is a portion, again, it's hasn't been advertised for public hearing. If you go to the state DEP website, and look for chapter 1000, that is the state shoreline zoning ordinance.
Okay.
What's being proposed, that's gonna be coming forward, is the minimum requirements from the state shoreline zoning regulations.
So on April 6th, there will be no questions about people having additional moorings or people having docks or anything like that? That's not going to be discussed on April 6th?
In the sense of allowing additional or more or anything, no. Those standards, that ordinance particularly talks about permanent structures in the water versus temporary structures in the water. It does not get into numbers of moorings. It does not get into that. That in itself, again, is a whole other issue that is not being discussed even at that meeting.
So do you know if it is going to be discussed at some point about, the dock situation on Route 5? How will people know about that?
Regarding the shoreland ordinance that you're referencing, March 25th, that information will be available on the town website under the public hearing. I need to gather all the information before I can advertise it.
Okay,
So if you have further questions at that point, April 6th would be the time to come in and question.
that was my
Yeah.
question.
And again, the shoreline zoning regulations is an ordinance that's going to regulate, which it already does, regulate all of the property along Little Ossipee and Lake Arrowhead,
Okay.
as well as some streams, brooks, rivers, and wetland areas. It's a fairly comprehensive standard that the state has.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any additional public comment? Okay.
My name is Patricia Peel and I live on East Shore Road, and I reviewed the ordinance and I had two concerns. I want to echo what Mr. Duncan said, concerned about the increased density by reducing the required square footage for each lot from 5,000 to 1,250. I'm also concerned about the traffic in that area because previously the public roads had to be 50 feet wide, now they're 20 feet wide. So I have those two concerns. I'm very concerned about the density. It looks to me like there is water on the other side of Route 5 included within the campground
We're not talking
area.
about any applications. It's strictly about the ordinance tonight, ma'am. That's all we're
I'm
talking about
just
tonight.
expressing a concern.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I'm gonna close the public hearing at 7:14. Our next agenda item is the approve the minutes of March 2nd. All of us were present for that.
Mr. Chairman, did you want to have any discussion or any action on this tonight, or you're going to hold off on that?
Yep.
Okay, just want a clarification.
Thank you. Make a motion to accept the March 2nd minutes.
I second it.
Okay. All have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Passed. All right. DJ.
Yes.
I'm sorry. On the discussion vote,
Yes,
I didn't see that. Sorry.
I apologize. That's why I brought it to your attention.
I'm strictly line items, man. I'm working out.
Done.
So, I mean, we heard 3 comments, or 4 comments, 5 comments
Yep.
on the, 1, 2, 3, 5, on the campground ordinance.
Yes.
Do you want to go back and do you want to look at those? What do you want to do on those?
Sure, I've written them down as well, so I think they're all worthy of some discussion or clarification, so. On the issue regarding trees or shrubs, there is no wording in there that says or natural vegetation. Depending on what the board wants to do, that is certainly something that can be added. Just adding or natural vegetation
Yeah.
to that section can be done very easily. Make a note of that. Excuse me. The 8 versus the 10 on the accessory structures, I know during the workshops that the board was fairly set with wanting 8 feet, or at least leaving it at that until tonight, and if you heard any issues or discussions regarding the 10 feet. I think there's been a little bit of question regarding the 10 feet. I don't know, I honestly have not done research myself on that to any depth. Yeah, I don't know if the 10-foot is a industry standard, where they make those additions that are 10 feet versus 8 feet, or whether,
Well, doesn't 10 feet wide have to have a special permit to even?
No, these wouldn't be attached. To
They're like a roll-up awning,
the, yeah.
you know, they get done, they crank.
they're
up,
assembled
they go
on
up,
site. And
They go right back up on.
so, I mean, if you want, I don't know with, since it was brought up by Ms. Gay, whether or not she has an answer or can provide an answer as to whether or not the industry standard is 10 feet, but I have not.
The first 3 that came up on interweb was 15 by 7, 15 by 8, and 15 by 9.
So 8 foot is a standard in the industry.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that like a bump out too? Or is that something
No,
different?
those are slide outs, as I was explaining to Tammy, yeah,
Whoever I am.
Katie, yeah, you, to Katie earlier. Those are slide outs that are part of the camper. This would be in addition to, which would be like a screen room that people could put to sit inside and not get bitten alive during the fun parts of the summer.
Glenn, do you have any?
I do, I guess, going back to what Mrs. Gay said, if that recreational vehicle moves and it has a 10-foot wide enclosure and it chooses to move to another site on that camp facility, then they would be required to reduce their enclosure to 8 feet to comply with the standard. You know, if there's a structure there that has a 10-foot wide enclosure now, then that could stay, but if they move it, then it has to comply with the ordinance. Is one way out of that, I guess.
Because the point that they raised was, how do you know whether one's moved or one stayed?
Well, you don't, but there's a lot of that questions throughout town with our ordinance, so, you know, you have to take it with a grain of salt, I guess.
Technically, Glenn, is a building permit required to be obtained for one of those?
It is.
And so even if a unit is moved in a campground,
Yep,
technically they need a new building permit.
yep, correct.
Technically, whether that
Technically.
happens or not is a different story.
That's also correct.
Right.
I don't see, changing from 8 feet to 10 feet, or from 10 feet to 8 feet is critical, and you have 8 feet in the words, and I would be inclined to leave it at 8 feet.
I'm on page 5 and I still haven't found a 10-foot one. I get what you're saying on it, but it's,
Where are you looking?
I started just on shopping on Yahoo. Now I'm down at the Camping World. They're all the, like the awnings and all
I think
that.
you're looking at vinyl screening rooms maybe. These are metal enclosures. Most people don't get them from the camping places because they're so expensive. One of the brand things for you. Thank you. I mean, if you look at any campgrounds, other campgrounds in all of Maine, most of them have them. All of them have them.
Yeah, these are just like the crank out awning ones with the screen rooms.
That's not the same thing.
Depending on what the board chooses to do tonight, one of the things I could do is call a number of campgrounds,
Yeah, let's
and find out what they allow. Powderhorn and some of the others in the Old Orchard Beach area allow those sorts of things. I can find out what others are doing relevant to that.
All right, thank you. Uh, 1,250 square feet versus 5,000 square feet. We still kept it as 5,000 square feet in the shoreline zone.
In the shoreline zone, correct.
I mean, 5,000 square feet is actually a lot. I think that's big. Because 1,250, we based that off of 100 by
125,
yeah.
which is still a fairly large.
Yeah,
Large
even for an
lot.
RV to sit in there.
Yeah.
I don't know what's.
No place to live, 800 square feet of living.
Steve, your thoughts?
I didn't understand the reduction or the change. Well,
Originally, our ordinance it said 5,000 square foot for the campsites. And then we changed this to 1,250.
So there's 5,000?
that was my only concern. I had one, and I read this a little bit better. I thought maybe they were looking for a wider RVs to come in. And going to the 10 feet, what I had read and talked to some of the campgrounds up in the Sebago area was that they were trying to stay at that 8 foot because they were worried about mobile homes being that same platform for park vehicles
Okay.
as opposed to recreation vehicles.
What's your thought?
I think what would be 8 feet would be, it's not I just don't wanna see it end up being, you know, some places you see an old orchard, it's just clump, 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 clump. Next thing you know, they got the old, you know, supposedly camp model thing.
I think if we find out what goes on that, I mean, sorry, switching subjects, square footage size.
That's plenty big. As I say, I live in a house that's a lot smaller than that.
Katie?
Yeah.
Judy?
That's fine.
Okay. So
Staying at the 1250.
Staying at 1250. Moorings is not included in this at all.
Nope.
And then road widths, 50 foot versus 20 foot.
Right. Just a point with that, I mean, it's hard to differentiate, but if you build a town road here in town, you would ask for a 50-foot right-of-way, but the actual roadway itself is only 18 feet in many cases and 20 feet in other cases. The previous standards that we have on the books right now calls for a 50-foot wide road. There are no roads anywhere built at 50 feet. That's wider than 2 lanes of the main turnpike. And so just from a fairness and equity standpoint for any campground coming in, and an environmental standpoint, I don't think we need or want to have that kind of pavement anywhere. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
I thought we did that because of the impervious surface.
Well, it's certainly, as I mentioned, the environmental issues. It's impervious surface areas, it's runoff, and that's a lot of pavement.
Steve?
I agree.
Please? Yeah, 20 feet, plenty big.
I also spoke with, along the way, I touched base with the chief on it to make sure that, is that something emergency vehicles can get in? And he was fine with 20 feet.
Okay. So we're gonna research further the enclosures.
Yep.
And you could have that, we should have it for the next meeting?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, I'll put it on the agenda.
Glenn?
Mr. Chair, I keep going back to the buffer. And I clearly understand that, natural growth should be in there. But I also think natural growth can be
Poison
grass.
ivy.
Yeah, it can be poison ivy. So if we're gonna change that, then probably that first line ought to be, 25-foot wide buffer strip. How many trees and shrubs do you plant in a buffer strip that's 25 feet wide? You know what I mean? So if I'm gonna if I have to interpret that, I would have a hard time interpreting that on the ground.
You can't just tell 25 feet wide whether that's 1 tree or 20 trees?
Pretty much, yeah. And I know what 25 feet is, but
So if we add something in there then that says, basically to create a screen,
Well, it does. If you read on, it says, all
screen from,
adjacent lots and all campsites and facilities shall be screened from view of any abutting residence within 200 feet.
stream from view.
so that means,
It may mean one, both, or all three. I mean, they may have natural vegetation, but if we go out and do a site walk on a project
okay,
and say, where is your buffer area? And they say this is the buffer area, so we may have to suggest, well, you're going to need to add additional vegetation in there. It may not be just the existing vegetation. They may still have to do additional plantings.
okay, does that work for your end?
Yep, it does.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, Lee J, I didn't pick up.
Oh, no, that's fine. No.
Okay, so that, we're not ready to vote on that to move that on forward.
Right, I will do the research on the 8 versus 10 and report back for the next meeting.
Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, do you also want me to add in the discussion and vote at the next
Yes, please.
meeting? Okay.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Old business. BJ?
I don't think there is any old business, although I do have some discussion under communications that could be old business as well, so
Okay.
we'll wait till then.
Glenn, do you have anything?
I don't.
Okay. We received a bunch of communications in the last 2 weeks. First is April 6th, we'll have a public hearing on shoreland zoning and the shoreland map. That also does not apply to any particular candidate or applicant. Conditional use letter for Timothy Fox.
That's just the copy that I sent out to him. So
Okay.
that he knows that he did receive his conditional use extension.
Okay. And then Donald Diane Holding vacating the subdivision.
That's just the letter that I sent out to them, so you knew exactly what they were receiving.
Okay. Is
After
that,
they were vacated.
so I'm sorry.
After they were vacated.
Okay. Is that what you're gonna talk about?
Nope, I actually have more stuff that's not on this list that is recent. So last evening, I do want to thank Steve and Judy for coming. I know the rest of you were busy or had other things on your plate. I did a presentation to, several presentations actually, to the select board. The first and foremost presentation was the same one that I had done for you folks on design guidelines. My perception of it was that it was received very well in its current state. Interesting, I think one of the things that if you want to have some conversation about it tonight or at your next meeting, I think the select board was looking for feedback from you. As you know, the ordinance as drafted suggests that design review be done on routes 202 and 5 only. They were interested in wanting to know what your thoughts would be about including the other state aid roads in town. More concern about that was because if we limit that additional regulation on folks, is that going to unintentionally have them move or decide to do something for a new business elsewhere where they don't have to meet that regulation? And will that help create more sprawl in town by encouraging development to go off from 202 and 5? So they certainly want your input and feedback on that. And I thought it is certainly an interesting conversation as to whether or not that is a negative or a positive impact. But I think in general the ordinance as proposed was very well received last night. Also, during that presentation, I put together a number of issues for the select board to ponder about the fact that the zoning ordinance needs major overhaul work. And I talked about some of the issues that I thought need to be addressed, as well as just general cleanup. And I think that there's going to be additional discussion with them and looking at Gary as far as there's interest in moving that forward. In the next year or so, we're going to be going through and making numbers of changes, whether it's the planning board directly or I even suggested maybe a smaller ordinance committee to work with, so you folks aren't tasked with doing all of that work.
I mean, is it something that could actually be pushed over to SMRP?
Well, I am SMRP.
No, I mean, but, I mean the people behind you.
Well, and Gary and I have talked about that from a matter of hours and dollars, and I certainly will probably have other staff that are under me doing a lot of the background work and whatnot, so that I'm not also overtasked on trying to complete that. I would be reviewing stuff and telling them, you know, where we think we need to go, and then reviewing that work before it comes to the town.
I'm just thinking about the amount of time it takes for us to move something through.
Sure.
As a planning board.
Sure.
How many times have we started?
Mm-hmm.
And
That's why sometimes shoveling money is.
it goes plump, you get all gung-ho and gonna do this, and then
Well, I think with Gary's assistance and you know, as long as I'm working with you folks here, I think we're going to get it pushed through in one fashion or another. It may not be exactly as we draft it, but I think there's a lot of things that need to be done, and I think if we're given marching orders, then a lot of the stuff can happen.
Okay.
Also, as you know, you reviewed 2.08 and you made your recommendations, and they went to the select board, and then there was some further proposal put forward by myself as another alternative that would take any board's review out of most of the 2.08 by creating a sliding scale setback requirement. And I think that they're intrigued by that. I think they like it. I'm going to do a little bit more work with Glenn and Tammy's help, truthing the fact that the sliding scale will work in town with some lots from here in town to just say, well, you know, if we look at this lot in this zone, this is what will happen. But I think beyond that, they were pretty comfortable with the proposal.
I like the concept.
Yeah. So we're moving forward on that, or keeping that going anyway. That's all I have. I didn't miss anything, did I?
I don't think so. The challenge would be to create this formula, this process, without numbers embedded in it so that it could work in every zone in town.
The biggest thing from our point of view, Gary, is it's the planning board, it's illegal for a planning board to create a reduction of, you know, stuff like that. So just,
Nobody's disagreeing.
yeah. So whatever the solution is,
This gets you out of the business also.
yeah.
The reason I voted against it is because I don't see that the zoning board of appeals, the way it has operated, can grant variances sufficient for these small lots.
Well, hopefully they're not going to have to.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what we're
I mean, as it was.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, 15% of the standard setback is nothing.
Right.
So you like this concept, or you
I
don't?
do like this concept very much, yes. It's getting around that, you know.
There's always a way around
Yes,
something, Judy.
okay.
Just
We
talk about,
don't pay taxes
Um,
in 10 year old day.
on the design standards, going back to that,
Yeah.
for expanding beyond 202 Route 5,
Yeah.
I mean, what's the board's thought on that? I thought we were swimming uphill saying 2 roads. I mean, I have no problem saying it's universal over the whole town. It makes a lot of sense in that sense.
Well, I'd at least limit it to universal over state aid
yeah.
roads.
State Road.
Yeah.
That means
I
West
think-
Road.
Yeah, that means West Road, it means
Townhouse.
Federal Street.
Townhouse,
I think
Waterboro.
one of the things
Federal Street's town, state aid.
that someone brought up is if we're gonna have manufacturing
We looked on the map.
and it's gonna bring in heavy vehicles on these roads, now these roads are not gonna be state aid roads,
Okay.
probably much longer. But to me, that has nothing to do with design standards, it has to do with what's allowed in each district. I mean, if manufacturing's allowed, then you're gonna have a product coming out and it's gonna require, whether the building looks good or doesn't, it's still gonna be
on the road.
trucks on the
Yeah.
road, you know.
And that's clearly a discussion we'll have when we really dive into the zoning ordinance about
I was
do we want to
gonna
change
say,
uses.
I think that needs to be discussed when all the shoreline and all, if their zoning gets changed or anything. I think it needs to be discussed and spread it out then.
Because that thing that went in the West Road, doesn't he service large vehicles?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, I thought
It's
he
a pretty
was-
nice facility.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
drove by
it's
it.
beautiful. But no, he doesn't do
No.
trailer
Oh, I
trucks.
thought he did,
I
okay.
thought he did. I thought he
Thought
said
that
he
was
would do
part of
tractor
the-
trucks.
I did
I
too.
thought
I
Yeah.
thought he
radiator
did
guy.
like,
Yeah, but I
tow
thought he
trucks
said
and
he.
stuff, but not the big rigs.
Yeah.
Does he? Glenn?
He's not restricted, he can
He can do
whatever fits in
anything.
the building.
Mm.
It's a good looking building.
It is.
It's
You
beautiful.
ought to see inside,
Really?
did a nice job inside.
All
He
right.
lives right there too, I'm sure we want, that
Doesn't
makes a
wanna look at
big
it.
difference.
They haven't been up that way since last summer.
Anything else, AJ?
That's it.
Gary, do you have anything for us?
No, thank you.
Glenn?
All set, thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. That covers our thing. Is there a motion for adjournment?
Oh, yes.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Steve seconds. Motion is second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Love it.